behind the scenes access to this seminar. Woo! We are climbing up through life. You guys have backstage access right here, right now with me. Woo! Here we are. Come together, everybody. Bring your hands together. Put your arms around your neighbor's shoulders. Hype. You guys, this is the backstage pass. Best views in the house. What a beautiful audience we have here today. Beautiful audience. I am happy to be up here and to be a speaker, to be hosted on this beautiful stage. Thank you, Jeffy, son. Thank you, Dick. Thank you to everybody that has made an appearance here tonight, that has put the energy into bettering themselves. Because hey, at the end of the day, isn't that why we're all here? Start of the day, isn't that why we're all here? Now, I will ensure that I have a great view here for the people watching virtually, the people watching the replay, for all of us that want to go back and just dissect this and unravel this and get the most out of it. Now, look, what is this? What are we talking about? So, I want to share with y'all, my beautiful audience, all of you rocks, you hard, solid rocks. I want to share with you guys what this is. Okay? I want to share with you what I'm sharing. I want to share with you guys today that to do what makes sense is to do what most people do. Okay? If you don't want to be like most people, then don't do what makes sense. If you want to do what most people do what makes sense. Now, excuse me, I'm gonna left. Bless me. You guys, 1 second, we have a whole community here, so I'm gonna wrap it all in together and then we will be merging, unified, and in sync. So, backstage access. To my virtual fans, my virtual people here, you guys, that everyone's watching this right now, I have you guys here with me on the stage, but we're speaking to the audience, okay? All of these beautiful rocks. So, we are back. Now, what I want to speak about is how all our lives, okay, essentially all our lives, now there are exemptions, however, for the most part, all of our lives we're led to believe that to be successful, to succeed in any undertaking, we need to do what makes sense. We need to follow a process. We need to not do these things. We need to stay in line. We need to structure and project. Now, let's get more specific so this isn't just a very general statement for you guys to all, think about on your own. Let's walk through this together. All of us here, let's walk through this together. Let's say we're in grade 6 again, all right? I'm gonna push you guys to use your imagination a little bit, okay? Push your imagination, shut your eyes if you have to. Your neighbor doesn't care, who cares, okay, I don't care. Shut your eyes if you need to. Imagine back when you were in grade 6, Miss Thompson there at the front of the class with your crayons. So you're in grade 6, and to do the test, what makes sense, okay? What makes sense to do this test for everybody in the class is to go and pay attention in class. You go to school first. First, you actually make an appearance. You go to school. Now, what you do when you're in school is you pay attention and you take notes. What you do when you go home is you study your notes. And then on top of studying your notes, you take the textbook and you do the homework that was assigned to you. Now you're learning, you're studying, you're doing what makes sense so you can pass the test. Not only pass the test, but pass the grade. Eventually meaning pass the next grade, pass the school, pass the curriculum, pass public school. So then you can go to high school, pass high school. Then you can go to high school, pass college, right? Pass high school so you can go to pass college, and then eventually it becomes a profession. We all know how the story goes, okay? It's all been leading up to a giant setup for most people. But let me tell you guys something. All you rocks here, you're not most rocks. You're not most people. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be listening to what I'm saying right now. You'd probably be at home. Okay? You'd probably be at home scrolling on, dare I say it, on your Explore page, okay? You'd be, look, we're not going to go down that road. You're not most people. Let's leave it at that. Okay, so I'm not trying to digress from the real point here, okay? We're led to believe that what we need to do is what makes sense. We take notes, we study, we prepare for the test, and then boom, test comes along, Most people pass the test. Here's the thing though, and this is where we get caught up. Some of the people that don't do what most people do decide not to replace their actions with anything. So they just decide to not do what most people do and instead do nothing. So instead of not doing what most people do and replacing it with something, they just don't do what most people do and then just don't do anything. I know this because I was that kid. What this means, you guys, to clarify, is to not do the homework, to not take notes in class, to not open the textbook, okay? So most kids that do what makes sense will pass the test. They'll pass elementary school, they'll pass high school, they'll get a great job, $100,000 a year. Wow. Congratulations. However, when most people do that, there's a few of us, a few in the class that decide not to do what most people do, and they fail. They fail because they didn't do what made sense. So they fail the test, they repeat the grade, they don't move on from public school, they don't pass high school, they get an average trades job and make 40K a year and struggle their whole life because they didn't do what makes sense. This gives the illusion to the people that are doing what makes sense that what they're doing, following what makes sense, what they're doing is the right thing to do. But let me tell you something. Do you want to just pass the test? Or do you want to do something that makes no fucking sense, that could make you so good that as that grade sixer, you could get in front of your entire class and teach the teacher and teach your classroom. You could go and bring all the grades together. You could teach your school, okay? If you don't do what makes sense, but decide to replace it and decide, let me not say the word but, I'm not gonna bring this down. So if you decide not to do what makes sense, and on top of that, you replace it with something that in your mind you believe in, something that your heart's calling you to do, something that your imagination, your creativity is calling you to do, your will, your determination, your something, okay? Your desires are calling you to do. If you do that and you replace what makes no sense, or what makes sense with something that makes no fucking sense, that's when you will excel. Now, you guys, let me give you an example. We're talking about being in grade 6, right? You guys know this. You guys know this. All my rocks, we're imagining, right? Your eyes are still closed. I see you in the back. You still got your eyes shut. This guy's watching a movie. All right, you guys, so listen, right? Listen, hear me, watch me, feel me, see me, okay? For the kid that decided to do what made no sense, he decided not to show up to school, not to show up to his classes. He has the same test, he has the same dates, but he decided not to go home and do the homework. This kid on the days that he would show up in class, he decided not to take notes. Instead, he decided to write what was on his mind. He decided to explore his imagination. And what this kid decided to do instead was he decided to learn about what the test was on, about photosynthesis? Damn, you can tell that I wasn't the kid that most kids were. So this kid decided to take his test that was coming up on photosynthesis. He decided to take that test and go find a scientist that was a photosynthesis scientist, teaching employees and laboratories all about that word, all about that subject, okay? So what the kid that was not doing what made sense, the kid that was doing what made no sense, was actually doing instead was he replaced his teacher and his classmates and his homework and his presence in school with maybe taking an online seminar and began learning from this scientist. So now he doesn't have a grade 6 teacher teaching him what he needs to learn about his test. He has someone that's in the top of the field, the best of the best. He has a scientist teaching him. And this kid learns more than most people in that class will ever learn their entire lives. This kid learns more from that scientist than his teacher has ever learned. Okay? So who's going to do better now in the real world? Okay? This kid now, he's going to go to his test. He is going to ace the test. Not only that, he's going to be the one that all the guys look over his shoulder. He's going to be the one that can sit at every single desk or any single desk in that classroom and help every kid in that class pass the test because he did what made no sense. Okay, he didn't do what most people do, which is what makes sense, which is follow the rules that make sense. All right, so I hope it's starting to get a little clearer, you guys. I really do. Just like this beautiful, beautiful volcano on this beautiful day here in Costa Rica. Howdy, Costa Rica. Just reached here, you guys. Just share a little backstory. I reached here from Huntington Beach, California. And wow, what a journey, what a journey, what a journey it has been. We're not done yet. I want to share something out of my personal life, you guys. So I didn't just come on this stage to share about a 6th grader who schooled his teachers, okay? Who schooled his classmates. I didn't just come to share about how this kid did what made no sense and he excelled. He blew past expectations. He blew past the norms. He went far above average. He soared above average. This guy could have taught his principal. Okay? This kid, this grade sixer, not only did he learn, he can now elevate the entire curriculum because he could say, hey, I have an idea. Instead of only our teacher teaching us and putting on a movie once a week or once a subject, which could be once a month, why don't we actually bring in this scientist that I learned from and see if he'll come on to the Zoom session? If he was willing to do it with me for, a week on the week that I missed school, I'm sure he'd be willing to do it for the entire class. Go talk to that kid who's going to go talk to the principal. And guys, put yourself in this kid's shoe, right? In his shoes. Hopefully he has 2 legs. Put yourself in his shoes, you guys. He doesn't have to be a grade sixer. He could be you on your 6th year of business, okay? That's why I asked you to close your eyes and imagine. So this kid now can go up and make a suggestion to the principal. Hey, why don't we pay this scientist to teach us what our teacher's talking about? So we can have that on top of what our teacher shares. So we have a scientist sharing what our teacher can't share. And the principal comes in and he says, you don't even know anything about the school, how much funding we have. We have to provide school mats for our gym, okay? We have to provide whiteboards for our teachers. We have to provide calculators for our math class. Well, that kid is using his imagination so much. He's going to be the innovative one that goes around and starts selling whole grain, 100% whole grain corn chips to the students and using that money to raise funds to go and pay for the scientists. You see what I'm saying, you guys? There's no fucking limits when you do what makes no sense, okay? When you do what makes sense, you're going to be limited. You're going to be limited. You know why? Because you're going to limit yourself. You know why? Because limits are being placed upon you. Nobody can limit you. Limits are being placed upon you and you're accepting them and you're saying, sure, I'll do what makes sense. I'll sit in my seat. I'll sit in my chair. I'll sit in class, all right? Now look, I'm not trying to shit on most people because most people sit in class. I'm not trying to do that because without most people doing what they're passionate about or what they find passion in at least, we wouldn't have this beautiful playground. No one would have been here to build it. We wouldn't have had this beautiful stage, okay? We wouldn't have the seats for you rocks to sit in. All right, so what I'm saying here, you guys, is we need everybody to work together as a whole. However, what part you play in that whole is completely up to you. You don't have to be like most people. Or better than that, we can shift what most people become, what most people are, who most people are, what most people choose to be, who most people choose to be. Now look, I want to share with you something. It's an example, okay? And it's something that makes no sense. It makes no sense to most people. I showed you this hat. All right, you guys, Huntington Beach, California. How I ended up with this hat, how I got this hat gifted to me from Huntington Beach, the 714, Orange County, California, United States of America. How I got this hat was I left here, this very stage. I left here, Costa Rica, howdy, 2 months ago. 2 months ago I left. And where did I go? I went to California. I want to tell you something about that. I decided to go to California with not a dollar in my pocket, not a single American dollar in my pocket, not a single Costa Rican cologne in my pocket, not a single Canadian dollar in my pocket. Actually, I did have a Canadian dollar, but it was a souvenir piece. So not a single spendable dollar, okay? I decided to get on a plane, just move some money online, get on a plane, thanks to my family. Shout out to the fam. I love you guys. I see you there. I love you. So I decided to get on a plane and go to California with no money, no plan, no idea where I was going to sleep, eat, no connections. I'm not talking about any friends there. I'm not talking about any work, business. I decided to go there with no plans, only objectives. Okay? And what were my objectives in California? My objectives were to grow, to collaborate, to build, to dream, to prove that anything is possible, to prove that it doesn't have to make sense to come to the senses. Okay? Ooh, was that a bark? Someone write that down. No, I'm kidding. All right, so what I'm trying to share with that is, guys, I left Costa Rica, went to California. I spent a month in Cali, okay? A month in Cali, amazing. Came back 1 month ago into Costa Rica. And here I am back on this stage 2 months from when I left it. 2 months from when I left this stage. And you guys, I went through all of this. I went to California, flew to Costa Rica. This is my 4th month in Costa Rica, total, like now 1 month from a previous 3 months. Guys, I did all of this without it making any sense before it started to happen. It's only happening right now because I did it when it made no sense. Because I did it because it made no sense. Okay, this is only happening because I decided, shit, what I've been led to believe is wrong. It's not true. I decided, shit, I have to unlearn what I've been taught. Shit, I gotta unlearn what I've learned. Guys, the hardest part isn't learning new things. The hardest part could very well be unlearning the things that you've already learned. Okay, do something that makes no sense, please. Okay, the way that I was here in Costa Rica is because I did what made no sense. Love you guys. Take the stage, Jefferson and Dick. So you guys, backstage again. You guys have backstage access to the best views, remember? Beautiful. So what I'm trying to share here is that, woo, it's getting hot out here. So okay, I'm not gonna take off my shirt until this video is done. You know, let's keep it PG. What I'm trying to share here, you guys, is a little bit about Costa Rica and California, just backstage to the VIP members. I was able to come here because I decided to do what made no sense. What made no sense at the time was to fly back and forth and back and forth and back and forth from British Columbia to Ontario, from Ontario to British Columbia. My original home where I was raised is in Ontario, and my automotive endeavors took me to British Columbia in Canada. Hola, buenos dias. Gotta love the people here in Costa Rica. So I decided to do what was making no sense, just spending money. However, in the process, I was learning, making connections. One of the connections I made is a dear friend of mine. He goes by Light. Dear friend of mine, Light. He actually offered me a trip here to Costa Rica. This happened because in that time when I was doing what made no sense, I was stepping into a role of a coach. I was becoming a coach and providing free coaching. So the traits that I embody are exactly what I'm doing right now. Taking you guys with me backstage, holding this camera for all my virtual members that are joining, right? So what I'm saying here is that I was embodying just the traits of a coach, and I was teaching my friend Light so much that he was growing so much. He was teaching me so much that I was growing so much. There was so much simultaneous growth that when I left British Columbia, went back to Ontario, I got a phone call one day when I was detailing a car. Light, so I answer hello, and he's like, hey bro, fuck Vancouver right now because the 5G towers, fucking COVID, everything, all that shit. Now you guys, this is VIP. I don't have to worry about swearing in front of all those rocks because I saw the fam in the back there with their kids. So you guys, beautiful imagination can lead us to amazing things. So you guys, he calls me, he's like, hey, I want to get out of Vancouver. What do you think about a 3-month trip to Costa Rica? Would it throw you off your goals? I know you're really goal-oriented right now. I know you have your goals with the automotive shop. And what I told him is, dude, all that sounds like to me is growth and a perfect view. However, I'm watching my finances. And he's like, no. This trip is fully funded. So, of course, I took that opportunity. Because it presented itself to me because I did what made no sense. That's when the abundance, like these bananas, that's when the abundance flows. And that, you guys, is when the beautiful views will come into your life. I love you all. I encourage you to do something today that makes no sense. Okay, something that's not for me to figure out. That's for you to figure out. Peace, love you. VIP members for life. 7-1 forever. 444 team. AAA. Send you my love, my peace, my happiness, my wisdom. Send you everything I've got and more, because I will provide to you everything I know I've got, and I will be surprised with more beauty.